Okay, today we are from 3BMMA S1/1 going to present our professional report, assignment 3B, which is Chernobyl disaster. For the subject, Engineering, HC and Oshe, Bmmu 4053. Okay, the situation is the meltdown of Chernobyl reactor in Pripyat, Ukraine was, was the worst nuclear power disaster of all time and has left many areas of the Ukraine highly radioactive, increasing cancer rates and directly causing 57 deaths. The Soviet government was dealt a strong blow by the severity of the disaster, and worldwide perception regarding nuclear power have been changed drastically, primarily due to the Chernobyl incident. The response to the disaster was also inadequately handled, due mostly to a lack of information that was caused by a combination of a lack of foresight to have accurate radiation detection available to nearby rescue crews and the government unwillingness to admit to international community. Okay, for the introduction, the Chernobyl disaster was the worst nuclear power plant disaster of all time and is the only event classified as level 7, which is the higher level major accident according the International Nuclear Event Scale. Many aspects of the process of developing the facility as well as the safety protocols that were in place were flawed. Okay, many of these flaws and errors came about and or were intensified by the level of secrecy demanded by the Soviet government, combined with the level of secrecy demanded his to develop nuclear technology brought by the arms race with the United States, US. Covers up few safety protocols and general lack of a proper distribution of information were present throughout the construction and maintenance of the facility and continue to show themselves in the manner that disaster itself was handled. Next.
Okay. For the environmental, first we need to know what is environmental. Environmental ethic is a branch of ethic that studies the relation of human being and the environment and how ethic play a role in this other living. In this environmental ethic believe that humans are part of society as well as other living creatures, which include plant and animal. These items are very important part of the world and are considered to be a functional part of human life. Based on the situation that occurred in the Chernobyl disaster, for 10 days following the April 26 explosion, the ruptured Chernobyl reactor continued to release major quantity of radioactive substance to the environment, amounting to a total of about 14 square feet. The most significant radiostat released were iodine-131, cesium-137, tritium-19, and polonium radioactive. Okay, for the slide, professional ethic of engineer and technical profession involve the pursuit of high quality of work. It says engineer cannot work without the spiritual culture. Engineer should pose ethic to avoid any similar situation like Chernobyl disaster. And engineer must measure the space and create the safe environment based on ethical and social responsibility. If the environment is not safe, it can harm anyone in that environment. Okay, for the next slide.
Next is about the organization. The first point is the engineer who designed the Chernobyl reactor have been unethical and failed to design a reactor with sufficient safety features. The first point is engineers should disclose all known or potential conflict of interest that could influence or appear to influence their judgment or the quality of their service. The second is about engineers should not accept a compensation, financial or otherwise, from more than one party for service on the same project or for service pertaining to the same project unless the circumstances are fully disclosed and agreed to by all the interest parties. The third point is engineers should not solicit or accept financial or other value consideration directly or indirectly from outside agent. Okay, the second point is about should design the layer of physical barrier to minimize and prevent the release of radioactive material. Okay, the first point is engineer should be objective and truthful in professional report statement or testimony. They should include all relevant and pertinent information in such report, statement or testimony which should bear the dates. The second point is engineer may express publicly technical opinion that are found upon knowledge of the fact. Okay, next, engineer should hold paramount or the safety, health and welfare of public in performance of their professional duties. The first point is if engineering judgment is overruled under circumstances that endanger life or property, they should notify their employer or client and such other authority as may be necessary considering the judgment that are in conformity with applicable standard. The third is engineers should reveal facts, data or information without their prior consent. The last point is engineers should obtaining expertise on their design or reaction to continue improving their knowledge. The first point is engineers should acknowledge their error and shall not result or alter the fact. Second is engineers should advise their client or employer when they believe a project will not be successful. The third is engineers should not accept outside employment to the detriment of their regular work or interest. Before accepting any outside engineer employment, they will notify their employer. Next.
Okay, next, for planning. Planning ethics is focused on terms such as best as it appears in this categorization of planning, where ethics or moral philosophy provides a mean of analyzing normative way of responding to planning challenge. As shown by the accident at the Chernobyl, nuclear power technology development does not make people's life safer. The accident occurred because of several violations of rule of reactor facilities operation. On the force power unit, during its output for scheduled maintenance at night, several experiments were conducted involving the study of mode of turbo generator works. Workers did not provide the appropriate oversight and did not take all the security measures. All in all, it was engineers' fault who made a mistake in the design of the reactor. As a professional engineers,
They shall continue their professional development throughout their career and should keep current in their specialty field by engaging in professional participating in continuing education courses, reading in the technical literature, and attending professional meetings and seminars. In order to resolve the ethical issues, nuclear power regulator and industry should follow the ethical value and principle to make the decision in order to maximize the benefits and minimize the harm. Different stakeholders may have different opinions on nuclear energy due to different value and principle, different facts and information they have on nuclear energy, and different perception on the outcome of the decision. In addition, development in science and technology should change the ethical issue. In the Western world, utilitarianism is a dominating theory that value the maximal well-being for the most people. If one applies the utilitarianism view to the nuclear energy program, the key questions are: does the nuclear energy program maximize the well-being to most people? And there are alternative options to accomplish the same outcome. The proponent of nuclear energy, including many governments around the world and international organizations, emphasize that the nuclear energy is sustainable, clean, and generally safe. Thus, should to be developed to replace fossil fuel energy. Therefore, the government often assure that the public that nuclear power is clean and safe. There were many fatal effects due to the radiation release. First, two workers had died. One immediately got burned to ash after the accident, while the other was declared dead at the hospital within few hours of admission. 28 emergency workers and staff died within 4 months of the accident due to the thermal burn and radiation effect on their bodies. The accident created 7,000 cases of thyroid cancer. Acute radiation syndrome, stand for ARS, was diagnosed in 237 people who were on site and involved in cleaning up. The land, air, and groundwater were all contaminated to great extent. The number, last but not least, a number of plants and animals face destruction as after effects. Okay, I'm done. Next.
Then the management and employee behavior. The worker of Chernobyl Fort Block blatantly disobey restriction government the preparation and execution of electrical tests. Reactor plant management neglect and a lack of grasp of personal element of nuclear reactor technology operation. The fourth reactor had some structural deficiencies that lead to the explosion. Soviet government failed to inform the world, especially the effect European country about the serious health issue that would come from radiation. This caused a large amount of mistrust in government. The integrity of the government was minimized. Code of NSPE state that engineer judgment is overruled under circumstance that endanger the what the property. So what happen if we are not followed the rules? Disobeying the rules lead to the punishment. There is no discrimination in punishment for breaking the rules. So what is the important to follow the rules when when used appropriately, rules provide a sense of predictability and consistency for children. Rules help guide action toward desired result. So then we have here, what is the major safety features of nuclear power plant? Two of principal mitigating measure described in the section reactor design and component are the safety road system that quickly put the reactor into one subcritical state and prevent a supercritical accident. And second is the containment structure that prevent radioactive material from being released into the atmosphere. What are the safety precautions while using nuclear energy? Implementation of radiation protection and contamination control procedure, use of proper protective equipment. So this is very important if we are having a power in nuclear plant. So that's all. Can go to the next slides. This is the end of our presentation. Thank you for teaching us in this semester. Hoping we will get a great result for our final grade. Thank you, sir. That's all from us.
Thank you, sir.